Hi, Blastpop here. Today we're taking a look at SPQR, a game designed by the late Richard Berg and Mark Herman. This is the Great Battles of History series, Volume 2. SPQR has seemed to be over the years the most popular of all the various volumes that are out there. It includes 19 scenarios at a very tactical level where individual units battle it out against their opposition at the small unit level. This game was originally published in 1992 in its first edition by GMT Games and has subsequently been upgraded, additional maps and scenarios added until you have this 2018 edition version, which includes so much in the way of components. It is truly staggering the amount of product that's in this package for the money. The game comes packaged in a 3-inch thick anti-nuclear box. It survived just about short of a nuclear war. Very strong and almost a little bit water resistant coating to it. On the back, it gives you a sense of some of the history and what the game is attempting to accomplish here. It has a strong or high solitaire suitability and a medium-high complexity. The complexity isn't that difficult once you actually sit down and play some of the games. For those that found the game overly complex, there's also a simple battles which you can incorporate, which changes the way the units and the system operates, but does it at a more efficient, quick sort of system. Also included is a group of baggies. Way too few to efficiently store your units, but it is something. A D10 to resolve your battles. It's a D10 based system. And I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. There's just so much here. The rules book weighs in, including covers, at 40 pages. And in it, you have an index, color illustrations, examples of play. It is a fairly dense rules, although it's 2-column and the print font size is reasonable, so it's it's not difficult to read. And you have historical notes in the blue highlight. So there are reasonable examples and to put into play those situations that you might not be able to glean the understanding of just by merely reading the rules. Important is facing, the troop quality, as they say in the system, watch your flanks. It's probably one of the most key things you can do in the system to be successful. Everything else is somewhat secondary. You have some units that are oblong or long and conform to 2 hexes. Momentum is key in this game. Leadership, orders, activation. The quality of the leadership has an impact on the performance of your forces. And there's an example of the various factors on a leadership counter. Extensive explanation of various forces in the game, as well as a glossary of other important terminology that you'll find useful throughout the entire game. The scenario book in this, there's five basic scenarios in the first cut of scenarios you'll see. Gives you an explanation of the battle, the background, the play balance, forces involved, the map used. Some battles are more balanced than others. Some are very one-sided, but it does accurately represent the situation at hand at the start of a battle. Special rules. Sometimes they have more than one scenario with interesting alternatives. And here shows you on the Barbarian plains the setup along to make sure that when you set up your units here, your map looks a little bit like that. Hopefully you set it up properly. Battle of Cannae. I hope I'm pronouncing these correctly, but that's the pronunciation I've used for these over the years. The Battle of Zama. Battle of Cynocephalae, which is a good scenario. I played it in earlier editions. Then you have a next cut of scenarios, which is for the deluxe scenario pack, and it is much the same and listed as a second edition, and incorporates 45 pages, and again much the same. The Battle of Magnesia, the setups and so on and so forth, the Great Plains, the Battle of Ilipa, which is a double mapper, the Mataris River, all kinds of goodies here. The Battle of Bacula, Trebia River, Battle of Asculum, and then the Heraclea. And if that isn't enough for you, there's even more scenarios, which is the SPQR Barbarian battle module, which adds fighting against barbarians. Follows the same format. 5 more scenarios. We have a total of, by my count, 19 scenarios. Comes in at 24 pages. Same treatment. Gives you all the information you need. Background, deployments. Need I say more? There's a lot of stuff here and a lot of everything. Also included are 2 sets of player aid cards. Sets, player aid cards 1 and 2, one for each player of each. And your combat results, your shock superiority, what type of forces are encountering what kind of defending forces, shock resolution, stacking charts, route retreat. Very nicely done. It's got a nice, not plasticized, but a coated. So if you spend coating to it, so if you spill a little bit of coffee, you can wipe it right off, and it won't probably not be absorbed if you get to it quickly enough. The second card that each player gets here is what happens with what happens when you do quality checks and special checks, cohesion hits, missiles, command summary, stuff that is culled from the rules book or here at your fingertips. So hopefully you won't have to look at the rules at least quite so frequently, at least to start. And this is part 2 of the charts, duplicates of what you had just saw. Again, one set for each player. Also to keep track of the course of the play, a turn record track, and also a sequence of play to have at your fingertips, one-sided. 8.5 by 11. Now we have 6 or 5.5 counter sheets for the various forces included. You'll also, in addition to forces, there will be some various markers and such. As I always say, if there's something you want to look at, please pause the video and examine it at your leisure. I'll go through this kind of quickly because there's just so much here. Nicely illustrated counters. They are of the brown core, and they are reasonably thick. The various legions, each of these is a different Roman legion. Basically you have 10 cohorts plus auxiliaries and other minor allies that contribute to the Roman order of battle. Getting into some strength points, markers, missile low, some additional forces in the lower left hand corner, Numidian forces. Again, what I alluded to in terms of minor allies. Leadership and various other nationalities, barbarians, all, as far as the Romans are concerned. From the scenario pack, got some double-sided counters here. Judeans, among others, Roman allies. And finally, from the Barbarian module, a half a sheet of counters. This is a little challenging here as there are so many maps. I'm just going to show you the one side of each sheet here. I think, let's see how it works. Here's the map for Beneventum. And up here you have a Roman fort and various elevations, road. I'll try flipping this over, see if this works or not. And a rather blank map for Zama. It's hard to maneuver armies in rough terrain, and the game reflects that, so a lot of battles did occur on relatively sparse terrain. Cynocephalae, which here's an immediate exception. It's on the hills. Units maneuver, they lose troop quality, or I should say cohesion, which has an impact, so you have to maneuver your forces more gingerly because your formation will get out of whack if you're not careful in maneuvering. Another map here for Cannae, largely clear. You got a place to fight. Cynocephalae. And we have Osculum here, with a nice river in the center of the board to present each player with some challenges, either defensively or offensively. On the reverse side, the Mataurus, rivers, lowlands, highlands, rough or rocks up here. Another interesting battle. Then another largely clear map Mothel. If I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sorry. Very nicely done maps, no question of that. Heraclea, a nice river in the center, and very little terrain except in the lower left-hand corner, just to break it up. So it comes down to the quality of your forces and tactics, and the terrain largely going to be of no impact or import. Trebia, a small river in the center, or stream, with some elevations as you go to the left. Then, further, you have the Battle of Bacula, which has a Roman, I believe a Roman fort up in this area here, with some hills, some streams. And the final map is Telamon, which I believe is from the Barbarian module, which is different because it actually has some of the setups for the units on the map, which is kind of convenient. Been nice to have it on other maps, but better than none. Fighting on the hills in the center with forces immediately opposing each other. There's some forces in the back line. And the final map we have here today is Senetum. A little bit of hill and open terrain with woods to the front and back of the player sitting on the side of the board. So, as I said, there is an awful lot in this package, and it's been a lot of years of development and improvements to the system, and just giving the player just about everything that they could want or need, and just to give you a sense of all the goodies contained herein. And finally, the box. Please comment, like, and subscribe. This has been Blastpop. Bye.